Awesome, awesome. Well, I appreciate the opportunity and welcome everyone to an introduction to Hold It Open and Close the Deal, a new launching a MAPS Fast Track program that'll run about 8 weeks, beginning later this month. But wanted to take a little bit of time, and many of you actually that are on the call, I've met. You've seen me speak or teach. And probably you've seen me speak or heard me teach centered around the open house. Many of you have met at Mega Camp, Family Reunion, or even through my other Fast Track program, Model Your Way to a Million, built around MREA. But for those of you who haven't, I wanted to just bring you up to speed or spend a few minutes just sharing with you who I am as an agent. I think sometimes we hear people speak or we have this perception that they are different than we, right? Someone's able to accomplish something or do something because they're just better at something than I am or we are. And the reality is I think just hearing a little bit of my story will help you realize that I am an agent just like anyone else in this company or in this industry, and I'm a fairly average human being. And I say that because as I branched and grew my company and organization, I really did that around just defining one thing to focus on and to build with, and that was the open house. So just real briefly, I am living in Portland, Oregon as we speak. I have a pretty lean team here in Portland. I'm originally from New York, actually, born and raised in New York, and sold real estate in New York and found myself on the West Coast about 10 years or so ago. I've been with Keller Williams for the last 7-ish years and running a team for the last about 5.5, 6 of those 7 years with KW. I have a team of about 8 people here. We did about 75 million in volume in Portland last year, and about 2 years ago we launched our first expansion team. So I'm working closely with a group of what Gary Keller calls his pirates, his expansion pirates, really building and operating expansion teams and real estate teams now. I have 6 regional directors, and they have partners spread around, I believe now 10 or 11 different cities or locations. And I share that because one of the biggest lead generation levers that we now have running in 10 different cities is the open house. One of the things that we're going to talk briefly about today and extensively in our 8 weeks together will be specifically how do you make an open house a leverageable, duplicatable, and expandable activity. Once you've perfected it, once you have your systems and tools in place, many people look at open houses as an event, right? I need to show up, I need to open the door, I need to sit there. Most of us think we need to just wait and wait and wait. But the reality is we're going to talk about how do you make open houses not only a strategy but a duplicatable and expandable strategy as well. And that was actually through some pressure and pushing in a conversation that Gary Keller and I had around how we had built an open house model to take us to a certain level. And he said to me, and many of you may have been there because it was on stage, interestingly enough, at I believe a Mega Camp, where he said, Chris, this is great. You've built an open house model that took you to 20 million in production, but if you want to get any bigger, you're going to have to figure out how to make that expandable. And that's one of the reasons why we launched this program, Hold It Open and Close the Deal, is because it is going to bring us through that path or that process of how do you make an open house not just an event or a lead generation activity, but how do you make it a lead generation model? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, about the fact that I still do open houses to this day. You will find me at one this weekend. You will also find me at one next week. And so I share that because oftentimes we hear agents in big production, and I may be one of the fewer groups or handfuls of agents that I am still in my business by choice. I enjoy it, I love it, and I'll stay in it until I don't, which I don't see that happening. But I share that so you know that as we go through our time together, you and I are both agents. I'm an OP of one of the most profitable offices in Keller Williams here in Portland. part owner in 3 others in Oregon, and helped launch Keller Williams Costa Rica last year, in which we're opening up our 4th office this summer. And I will tell you, I've brought the open house model down there too. And I say that, you know, just almost in jest, because I often share that I am like that comedic actor, right? So we can all think of like our favorite comedy actor, and chances are, if they started as a comedic actor, they will always be a comedic actor. I think about some actors or actresses that have always done comedies, and then they try to run and do a serious role, and we all look at them like, what in the world was that? Just go back to what you're good at, you know, do another comedy. And I often say that I will forever be the KW open house guy. Like every year, they're like, hey, do a panel on open houses. Hey, will you run that panel on open houses? Hey, can you do an interview on open houses? So I don't know that I'll ever get out of that role, but I'll wear it proudly because it's truly been the one thing that I can attribute to our big success and our big business. So what I wanted to share is just a few secrets actually today of how it started, what we do. What I like to do is actually share a concept out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, MREA. Many of you know that I live and die by that book. And early on, there's a concept in that book. If you're taking notes today, I'd write this down because regardless of whether you're part of the 8 weeks with us or not, my hope is that you'll be able to take some things, write them down today, and use them in not just your open house strategy, but your big business strategy. But Gary Keller in MREA says this: we're going to have to get very clear, very fast, that there's only one thing that will either help us grow our business, keep our business stagnant, or actually cause our business to die. And that's the number of leads that we generate and bring in to our business. The number of leads that we generate and bring into our business. Now, what's interesting about that is once we start talking about leads, we often have the question, well, should I focus on quantity or should I focus on quality? Right? I'd much rather just have a referral-based business because it's the quality of leads. And I'm going to quote Gary out of MREA, and it's one of my favorite quotes where he says, "The octane of your fuel is irrelevant if you don't have enough to get to your destination." The octane of your fuel is irrelevant if you don't have enough to get to your destination. I share this a lot of times when I speak, so you may have heard me say that before. But at the end of the day, if you run out of gas in the middle of the road, you're not thinking, I probably should have put in 91 grade, right? I put in the 86, it was a little bit cheaper, I wish I went 91. You're not. The only thing you're thinking of is, how did I run out of gas and why didn't I fill up with more? And that is the same way that we need to start looking at our business in terms of lead flow. And for me, the quickest way to generate leads into my business after I moved cross country and launched my business again and didn't know anybody in this city was, I'm going to do open houses. And going back, the open house process that I follow it starts with mindset. It actually starts with mindset. Chris, if you want to jump back to the previous slide, just for those taking notes, the open house process for me is broken down into a few main pieces. It's mindset. So if you're taking notes, the 8 weeks will be broken into the mindset of the open house, the preparation for the open house, the promotion of the open house, the process of the open house, the performance of the open house, and then the post-open. So there's a lot of P's in there, but it starts with mindset. And we're going to go in and build a mindset around an open house, and hopefully for everybody in your organization have a mindset around the open house, that the only reason why we're doing them and the strategy behind our open house is to connect with 4 types of people. And ultimately, your database will begin being built around these 4 types of people. It's an immediate buyer or an immediate seller, right? These are buyers and sellers that are going to do something in the next 30 to 90 days. Or it's a future buyer and future seller, right? They're going to buy or sell at some time in the future. Now, what's interesting is I believe that everybody that I meet with is either a future buyer or future seller, right? If they don't have a home, they should. If they do have a home, they'll sell it one day. Or they're an immediate seller, an immediate buyer looking to do something. And so we'll talk about how do we build a strategy around that mindset. The second part of the open house is preparation. And interestingly enough, we're going to talk in depth about preparation, because preparation for that open is probably one of the most important things that we'll do. And oftentimes what we've found in the marketplace is preparation involves remembering that we have an open house, or choosing to do one on a Friday afternoon because Saturday just opened, right? Kids' soccer game just got canceled, so I have free Saturday afternoon, so maybe I'll do an open house because my business is slow. So we run out, do that open house on Saturday, wonder why no one came, and then convince ourselves that open houses don't work. So our preparation is going to start about a week in advance. And that preparation is going to be very strategic. From what day, from what time, from what house, from what traffic patterns we're going to look for. And we'll build out a preparation plan or system for us to follow to do open houses. Just for instance, I'll share that part of our preparation involves looking at traffic patterns. So if you're taking notes, what could that be? Well, we've built open house schedules around entry into schools and release of schools, right? So as parents are dropping kids off at school, that is the middle of the week, and sometimes it's 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. As people and parents are picking people up from school, right? That might be 2:30, it might be 3, it might be 4. But our mindset about the open house is how do we build our database, right? We're in a database business, we're in a lead-based business. Then the preparation is going to be built around choosing an open house that's going to give us the opportunity to connect with immediate buyers, immediate sellers, future buyers, future sellers. So we will build out a plan, a preparation plan, if you will, for not only the home selection, but also the value, right, the tools of value that we need to have on site to be able to later on, during performance, gather their contact information. And actually on this call, I'm going to give you 3 steps to get contact information in a minute. Then it goes to promotion, right? Promotion of that open house. You can have the right mindset, you could prepare all you want, but if we don't have a plan for promotion, then we won't be pushing or attracting, right? Attracting is probably better than pushing, but attracting or pushing buyers and sellers into the house, or past our signs, or into our business world. So we're going to talk about our 6-day promotional plan. In fact, we're going to show that to you on our slides today as well in just a few minutes. Then there's process. And I include process because we could have the right mindset, we could prepare, we could promote it, but if we truly don't make our lead generation activity into a model, then we're missing the whole point of MREA. And we truly are being very entrepreneurial every single time we go to launch an open house. Our goal and our mission in this 8-week program is you will finish the 8-week program with a process, so that every time you hold an open, or every time your buyer's agent holds an open, or any time your administrative assistant prepares and sets up an open for you, we follow the same process. It becomes a routine, and so based on that process or based on that routine, you can expect a certain number of visitors, and by that certain number of visitors, you're going to translate that into a certain number of immediate buyers, immediate sellers, future buyers, future sellers into your database. It's a model, not an activity. And I'll just say maybe off script here, that I believe that our company does a phenomenal job at talking about lead gen, lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. Interestingly enough, we immediately go to the phone when we think lead gen, right? Like, how many hours am I on the phone dialing? Well, my goal is to get any one of my agents focused on an activity that fits them, suits them, and is part of their personality, build that activity into a model so they can follow it. And don't think that open houses aren't lead generation activity. If done the right way, they're probably one of the most highly leveraged, highly effective lead generation activities that can turn into a process and a model that we have in our industry. And it's a passion of mine because remember, as I talked about earlier, I showed up to Portland, Oregon without a friend. And there's a story behind that, but that is truth. I didn't know anybody in this city, and our first year in activity, and it wasn't a full year, right? We built an open house model that had us do 15 million in production. Our second year we got to 25. Our third year we got to 40, right? And at 40 million in production, we were able to net $1 million in GCI. And every year there forward, we have net over $1 million in GCI. And I will tell you to this day, right, 6, 7 years later in a really, really big business, the largest source of leads truly is and has been the database of people we've built through this open house process. Now, you can have the right mindset, prepare perfectly, promote it incredibly well, follow the process. If you don't perform well, right, if that comedic actor, right, doesn't say their lines the way that they should, well, then the performance will be flat and you probably won't build a database. So we'll spend quite a bit of time together, probably about 2 weeks, talking about the performance at the open house. And oftentimes, right, we forget why we're there. We're there for one reason and one reason only, to build a database. So what can we do? What can we say? What can we ask in order to move people from an open house visitor into an open house lead into one of those 4 categories? And you're going to get sick of me saying this, but hopefully by the end of 30 days your mindset's changed in every part of our business, that performance equates or turns into an immediate buyer, immediate seller, future buyer, future seller. So we'll pull these people into our database and into our world, and then in order to convert the lead to an appointment or an appointment to a closing, we're going to go through a very systematic post-open house process. Here's where I believe things fall apart in most people's world in their open house strategy. They go in, they may actually put phenomenal time up front. They generate people. They have 10, 15, 20, 40 people through an open house, and we're going to talk about how to consistently get those numbers. They meet people. They connect really well, right? I will actually tell you that I'm not a highly social human being. If I could live in a small little dark room and run a business from there, I probably would. And so I share that because anybody, any personality style, and we're going to talk about how to work a highly profitable open house model regardless of personality style. But regardless of your style and whether you're a social person or not, if you have your performance down, you will drive leads, but the win happens post-open. The win happens on the systems that we have set up, in our campaigns and our messaging that we have after the open house closes or ends. We lock up the door, we pick up our signs, right? We pop the balloons, and we go back home. And so for many, that's where the open house happens to be just an activity, and when the event is over, thus goes our focus on the leads or the people that we connected with. But we're going to share actually our entire post-open process, right? The messaging, our emails, our marketing, our scripts, what we talk about after the open house, and how we show up so that we can convert those leads into an appointment and those appointments into closings. So moving sort of through our PowerPoint here, if we want to go to the next page, Chris, so we can spend some time here and take some notes, if we're taking notes today, we'll move into this post-open process and then go back now and look at the open house big picture. If we hop to the next page of our perfect. So we're gonna go back. and just take some notes real quick about selecting our open house. So we know that we go from mindset to preparation to promotion to process to performance to post-open. Here's what I would say, guys. Those are 6 steps of a proven open house. Whether you take that 8-week journey or not, write those 6 down and test and metric whether or not you have that 6-step process. In fact, maybe you don't do open houses. Maybe you're a door knocker, or maybe you're an expired girl or guy. Check in and ask yourself, hey, do I have a mindset portion? Do I have a preparation portion? Do I have a promotion portion? Do I have a process? Do I have performance? Do I have post-performance? And if you don't, then you're probably doing some great lead gen activity but haven't made it a lead generation model. But what I wanted to share just briefly with you is some notes on how do you select your open house in terms of studying turnover in your neighborhood. How do you select price point? And that might be based on where you want to be in terms of your average price point sale. For us, what we do is we every single year look at what was the most active price point in our marketplace, in our city, and in the neighborhood. And then we target open houses around that most active price point. Why? Because we want to move product, and we want to move product quickly. We want to connect with sellers that have product that will sell, and we want to connect with buyers who are buying. And where do we find that? Well, we find that through our local statistics, but we're going to spend quite a bit of time together dissecting the NAR profile report of a buyer, right? What are buyers buying and what are sellers selling? And how do we make our open house strategy and the selection of our open houses strategic? So that at the beginning of the year, you know, what home should I pick? What home should I say no to? So it's not an entrepreneurial process of picking the open houses that we focus on. And then we're going to go through our 6-day promotional process. What do we do on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and day 6? Now, what's interesting is in order to have a 6-day promotional process, what does that mean? We have to start the process 6 days in advance, right? On Monday, we need to know what open house we're going to follow, right? What open house we're going to hold open. And we're going to walk through those 6 days. What I will say, and real quick, if you're taking notes, what does that look like? On the first day, we're going to select an open. On the second day, we're going to post online, we're going to call some neighbors, and we're going to put up a sign. Now, we're going to systematize that out for you in the 8-week program. But for those of you that aren't on it, which I hope we all are, but if we're not on it, write that down. Post online, obtain a call list, right, around the open, and we're going to mail out some invites. On day 3, we're going to post online again. Now, where do we post? We'll take you through the many sites that we're going to post to generate the most interest. But we're going to post online again on day 3. We're going to begin calling the neighbors because we have the sign, or we have that call list, and the sign goes up in the yard. Right? Open Saturday, open Sunday, open Friday, open Thursday, whatever day that is. On the 4th day, post online again. It sounds repetitive, but anything good is repetitive. Post online, calls to the neighbors. We're going to invite our database. We're going to talk about how do you break down that database. We're going to call all the sign calls off that listing that we had and email all internet leads on that listing that we had, alerting them of the open. On the 5th day, post online, we're going to do some preparation, whether it's us or someone that we leverage this out to, but we're going to get some market stats and comps, and we're going to build a digital folder. We're going to take you through that process and how almost everything that we do is digital. And on the day before the open, we're going to post online, we're going to get directional signs installed, we're going to door knock, and we'll talk through scripts and what we hand out. In fact, we'll share all of our marketing, all of our handouts, all of our scripts with you during the 8-week program. We're going to invite Sphere by phone that may live in the neighborhood. We'll talk about how do you section that out in your database. And we're going to do some social media posts, some strategic social media posts and boosting. That is our 6-day promotional push. That's a full hour, just that 6 days that we'll go through in the 8-week program. But I wanted to blitz through that for those of you who wanted to take notes. And the last thing I wanted to share today, again, for those of you who may not sign up, I'm going to share 3 questions with you. If you do, you'll get a lot more questions. However, the 3 questions to win clients. Question number 1, they walk through the door and what are we going to say? If you're taking notes, write this down. It is what changed my world. Are you out shopping for a home today, or do you happen to live in the neighborhood? The reason why is because, remember, my focus is to find future buyer, future seller, immediate buyer, immediate seller. By asking that question, one, I find out the most important thing. Are you a neighbor, right, which means you're a seller, or are you a buyer, which means you're out shopping? If they're a neighbor, all my scripts that we'll go through are going to be geared towards how do I get this seller into my database. The second question that we're going to dive into and develop and build scripts around is this start to any question, would it be of value to you if? Now, you need to have something of value, and that's going to be part of our preparation and our process. We're going to talk about 3 or 4 things that we will have that we can provide value to them. Now, it'll be valuable. They should say yes to that. Plus, script it out that way. It is hard for a human being, once you say, hey, would it be of value to you if I did this, for them to say no, right? People want to make other people feel good. So most people will say yes to that question. Then you go for the close and get their contact information, because anything of value you're going to share is something you need their contact information for. So we'll dialogue through how to use that. But if you're taking notes, I would write that down. And the last question, if you've gone through all the other scripts that we're going to go through and you haven't, right, been able to get their contact information, this is probably an 80% closing ratio of getting some sort of contact information. If you say this, so write it down, you know, I have really enjoyed our conversation and would love to continue it. Would that be okay? Now, it is very difficult for a human being to say, no, that's not okay. Like, you may have enjoyed the conversation, but it wasn't as good for me as it was for you. By human nature, if I say, hey, I've really enjoyed our conversation, I'd love to continue it, would that be okay? They will want to say, well, sure. Even if they don't want to say yes, they will. It's a total win. So we're going to talk about how to loop that into our conversation. So I know we only have 30 minutes together. I'm going to hop on. I know there's some questions that were asked. Let me try to grab some of these questions. The first question is, will those get on the call today get notification of future webinars? Yes, we will send out actually a link to the 8-week program, but we're also going to talk about a couple of special things we're going to send out to everybody that was on the call today. And we'll send out information about how to sign up for the class. I also got a question about Open Home Pro, and that's a tool. During the 8-week program, we'll go through all the tools that we use. What I will say is this: when we started our open house program, I'm going to be transparent and tell you I had no money, I had no business, and I had no clients. So we have figured out how to run an open house with free. Right? This is free lead generation. Now, I will share along the way over the last 10 years what we've done and what tools we've added into our I guess, toolkit, right? Because Gary says there's 3 types of leverage. It's systems, it's tools, and it's people. Now, today, we use all 3, systems, tools, and people, and that'll be part of that 8-week course that we walk everyone through, like what systems do you use, what tools do we use, and what people do we use. But Open Home Pro is an app that many people use, and actually it's a great app to use. We don't personally use it, but we'll share with you all the free tools that we use. What I will tell you is we use a lot of Google, right? Google Docs, and we use an online document sharing software that we'll go through. Honestly, you could use free ones, because we used free ones for years, where we built our what we call our value folder, so that when we ask that question, would it be of value to you if I sent you some statistics for the neighborhood? Would it be of value to you if, while you're out looking at open houses, I sent you some other homes that you could drive by? Would it be of value to you if I sent you a flyer to this home? Would it be of value to you? Can see I know what value I have to be able to offer, and everything is built into our preparation and performance portion of our process of the open house system. Now, I really enjoyed talking script. I got a question here. Would it work in a more cynical market like New York City? I love that question because I'm from New York. And I will tell you that that script works if you connect with someone on a human level, right? You know, New Yorkers have a bad rap of being really brisk and to the point. And I'm that guy, believe me. But I have used that script in actually different, like I said, 10 different cities in markets across the country, and it's working. So our time is up today, but just before we go, I wanted to mention two things. One, we will get this webinar recording out. If you missed part of it, I'll have Maps send it out to everybody that was registered. What we will do today is if you sign up for our 8-week course, you can go to mapscoaching.com and find Hold It Open. You could also go to holditopenandclosethedeal.com, and that will just get you straight to Maps Coaching. But for anyone who signs up for the 8-week program, I will send you, and Maps will send me an email for everybody that signs up. I'll send you my team's entire script binder. So not only the scripts for the open houses, but for all of our lead generation levers, for expireds, for buyer leads, for internet leads, for sale by owners, for door knocking. I will just send you out my entire team's script binder just for signing up. If you sign up today and share that URL, Hold It Open and Close the Deal, on social media, then I am also putting together an exclusive group coaching call for that group on a class that I teach called the Millionaire Mindset. And we are going to be setting that up for the month of May. So sign up today. We'll get you the script binder out, and that'll go out this week. And if you sign up and share that you've joined the class and you've signed up for the class, we'd love to get some leverage on social media. And so other people in your market center or other companies can sign up as well to introduce them to our system. I'll get you invited to a private mastermind call, an hour call, where we'll have some Q&A as well. And that'll be on the topic of the Millionaire Mindset. Any other questions? If you have a question, just type it into the question box. I got a question about a farm in a gated community. What I will tell you, and that's a great question because we will go through gated communities in our program. What I will share is I started in Portland working open houses in high-rise condominiums. They are all gated and on call boxes. So there are strategies and techniques to actually leverage out relationships or perhaps market share within those gated communities. And actually we will talk through that in the 8-week program. So don't think that because it's gated you can't build an open house model. Now, will your lead count go down slightly in gated communities? Perhaps and yes. However, the lead quality potentially will go up. So we'll talk about working through lead count and lead quality when it comes to gated communities. All right, guys, it is about 3 minutes past our half-hour time. Hopefully there was some value there. I did just get a bunch more questions in. What I will try to do is print out these questions and actually get back to a few of you directly if I can via email. I'll connect with Maps on that. And again, all those questions will be answered as well in Hold It Open and Close the Deal, which starts on May 18th, which is a Wednesday, and I'll have Maps send out a link as well as just some more information on how to sign up to everybody that was registered for the course. All right, appreciate your time. Look forward to having you all of you on and developing a relationship. And just know that as a coach and as a facilitator. But we do want this to be a working fast track. Understand, be ready to work those 8 weeks. Be ready to hold opens those 8 weeks, but be ready to build a database and to close deals those 8 weeks as well. It's a highly engaged 8-week program, and I welcome everybody to hop on and join. Thanks for your time today.